Welcome, everyone, to Hanging Out with Howie on Monday night. I have some very special guests in here. To my right is Eric. We have Jay and John, affectionately known as Boston John, because we have so many Johns in the room. Welcome, guys. How you doing?
Good, Howie. How are you?
Thanks.
Good. So I came up with this concept that I think, I'm wondering what you think about it, is post-pandemic, when we get back to the new normal, for lack of a better term, do you think that people are going to want to stream? Now the genie's out of the bottle that we can do streaming. Do you think that this is going to be a thing people may want to do? What do you think, Eric?
Oh, sorry.
You know what, Howie?
Go ahead.
Our hand was a little bit forced. You know, when everything got shut down, we're all entertainers. We want to entertain people, and we all figured out a way to do this. And so I think tonight what we're going to do is show a couple of different ways that we did, because there wasn't just one single way how to make this happen. So you know, Jay's got an idea. John's got other things that he's done more advanced than what either of us are doing. So I think tonight we're going to go, you know, coast to coast, and maybe we'll learn something ourselves and teach you guys something in the intern.
What do you think, John? Do you think this is going to be a thing?
I think so. I'm self-taught, and it's only been the last year I've not actually taken this out to play, so to speak, at venues. So I had the need to broadcast anything from the field. But I think from what I picked up here in the downtime of the year, it's definitely something that can come into play at a gig.
Yeah. Well, it's just been my experience through the years, when people see something new, they want it. And now that we've already done this for a year, these people, even though it's post-pandemic, maybe they want to limit their guest list. Maybe save that $100 a plate. And let's say you're charging $500 for this, you know, for a basic service, you know, one camera type thing. And 10 people that they say that can't come, they're up $500 when you think about it. You know, so it's an incentive for them almost. So, Jay, can you tell us a little bit about this? You had an event a month or so or two ago where you had to actually get help from Christian, right?
Yeah. I got into this just as a little beginner of it. I got into it, first time I streamed on Twitch was last March. And there was another DJ who was doing a set, and he's like, hey, you got to do this thing with me. And I'm like, sure. And I had to do I don't know anything. How do I do this? Learning from YouTube. And I think I chose to look it up at like 1 o'clock, and I went on at 2. And, you know, I'm going to be honest. There's a lot that goes into doing a great stream, but at its core, it's really connecting your audio, your video into something of a source that then streams out from where you are to Twitch. Let's use Twitch as the example. And, you know, it came down to that. This is a mini with 2 RCAs at the other end. So there's my audio. And for video, I use the EpoCam on my iPhone. And that was it. I was done. And I did my first set, and I made like $150 in tips. And I thought, oh, this is the way to go. But I didn't do anything after that until April, when I started DJing in my driveway. And it was the same thing. I had to call Christian. I'm like, yeah, something's not working. He's like, what are you using? I'm like, OBS. It's this free streaming software. Oh, go in and do this. Click that. Oh, it's working. Thank you. You know, Christian, Pulse, as everyone knows, my tech go-to guy.
So were the clients happy with the outcome?
Clients were super happy. Yeah, they ended up paying me.
Excellent.
They were really happy because they went in the chat and they were allowed to go. We ended up doing more of a Zoom style because they wanted it just to go to their house, like for the holidays. But, you know, and your earlier question, do I think this is going to continue? I really do, because I think this is going to be the new norm. What I've seen from the high-end DJ side, I'm seeing a lot of names come up now that are streaming that weren't streaming 6 months ago, a year ago. But now they're realizing this is a way to supplement my on-the-road income, because they're not going back to work the way we are. Like, I just got off the phone with my April 16th wedding. They're full steam ahead. We're good to go, getting everything fine-tuned. I have 9 weddings in May. They're all outside, but, even though I have these events coming up, I want to get, like, John's a great example of someone that has a schedule. And I think that's one of the keys to success with streaming. It's nice to have a great video, but I think having quality audio and, more importantly, having a consistent schedule, like in anything, is really the key to success. And I've certainly seen John, our friend Scrappa, they're consistent. And I think that's, if you do nothing else from this show, realize that you've got to plug your controller or mixer into your computer, open a program, have it see it, get a video of it, or you don't even need a video. You could just do some visual that goes on the screen and never be seen, but be consistent. And that's certainly where I have, outside of my Friday driveways, I haven't been consistent.
Okay, Eric, you're more advanced. So how has it been going for you? And what do you use?
Yeah, well, thanks, Howie, for inviting me on tonight, because I think I have some pieces that I can help people. I've had plenty of time to learn this stuff, and in the chill room, we've had some chances to bang some ideas around. So I'm going to go for. We've been doing some streaming, and we're doing some live stream shows for the colleges. Now, I usually load up my gear, go to a college, and do a performance. Sometimes it's a DJ rig, sometimes it's a game show, a lot of different things. So when this came about, there was a big need for and a big want for us to be able to still do these shows, but doing them either virtually or hybrid. So the virtual is where all the students are, say, in their dorm room, they log on to Zoom, and we play the show. The other way, the hybrid version, is where they have kids in the auditorium. They're watching me, I'm watching them, and there are other people from afar. So let's take that scenario and apply that to a wedding, okay? So I personally have had weddings in the past where I just couldn't attend for whatever reason. Maybe I was working, maybe something else. And man, would I have loved to watch that ceremony. I loved to pull up on my phone and been able to see these guys having some fun. Maybe even make a little quick comment or something. I think that is going to be a door that we can open up for now, for the ceremonies, for people who are either a little nervous about traveling or can't travel. Maybe they're elderly and they can't make it. So now we're going to give them the opportunity to be there at the same time with the bride and groom. Why not throw a 55-inch screen up, put grandma on the screen, have the camera there so that grandma can see them. The bride and groom walk up, grandma, we miss you. Look, it's giving me goosebumps. We wish you were here with us today. Thank you so much for watching. And grandma's saying, oh, honey, you look so beautiful today. And that guy, get him out of here. Get rid of him by midnight. But
wow. I'm so glad you mentioned that. That was one of my bullet points, was going to be the interaction where the couple could go up to the camera and that big screen and interact with grandma or another relative that can't make it.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. So what has been your experience, John?
Well, starting out initially, it was more just to let the world know that we were still in business and we still wanted to put out content. So I started very basic with just a cell phone camera using the built-in microphone and streaming to Facebook. It was only going to be an hour a week just to say, I'm in it and here we are. And as Jay had said, you watch some YouTube videos and, here's how you get better video. You get a camera that's 1080p. Okay, now how do we get better audio? And you just continually improve, adding these elements until you basically, for a fairly low cost, it doesn't take a lot for startup. OBS is free, and web cameras at their most are topping out at about maybe 200 ballpark. So for a camera, the software, and a dedicated laptop, you can get started pretty easily. So I got into a little more of the video production side. I needed a camera on myself, which I wasn't doing initially. I have another camera set up to show the board. So it's an experience. So people aren't just coming to the music. I've got some background effects going on, and I try to make it very interactive because people can listen to music on the radio, but for them to tune into you, you give something in return. It's two-way. Like Eric started to mention, as far as doing private shows to have the interaction with grandma, I think it's a very viable tool that we could take that out and use. For my clubs and bars, maybe not so much. You don't want a bunch of people leering into the camera,
right,
talking to whoever. But for the private gigs, there's definitely some value, and the technology is going to open some doors to some new things.
Well, and I think you can take it to a level that even we don't understand yet. I mean, I'm concerned personally about internet. And I've talked to other DJs about this, and they've said, well, do it this way. Show up with the intention of, I'm going to do your wedding. Say this, instead of saying, let's live stream your wedding, say, I'm going to record your wedding and do my best to keep it as a live stream. But if I can't maintain the live stream, it'll be recorded. So at least after the wedding, grandma, who may have been in bed because we're on the West Coast, she's on the East Coast, whatever, she can get up the next day and go to this address in a private Zoom or Twitch or however you want to show it and watch the event and feel like she could at least be a little part of it. The other extreme for me would be to have it so dedicated that I have an assistant and his job is to almost have a second mic that says like, hey, Uncle Tom says you look amazing, Gloria. Your Uncle Tom, he's right here. And like, and I don't know how far, I think you could go to the nth degree with that. But there's that fine line I always view as, I don't want to give people a reason to not show up at an event. Like, I don't want to make it easy to say, oh, I don't have to go, I can just Zoom it. But I also, if you are going to Zoom it, I think there's a level that you have to kind of maintain and understand is going to be expected, almost demanded. I mean, if you're going to ask for $500 to show something, you better show it well. And I think that investment is going to be different than, yeah, I've got this camera and I could just set it up on my DJ stand. I almost think there's a point where it's like, do you offer some stuff free? Like, hey, by the way, if you hire my company, I know I'm $300 more than Howie, but part of what I do is I actually have my wife live stream your ceremony. And then we live stream your first dance, father, daughter, mother, son. Later on, we can set a camera up where I am for the open dancing, but we actually have a camera person who's going in and shooting those moments and sending it to a private Zoom where I record it. If you'd like to give them the address, that's up to their bandwidth, not mine. Because now if I'm working on a hotspot, I should be okay.
It's almost like you guys have read my notes because you're covering my bullet points. And that's,
oh, sorry, Howie.
I love it.
If you want to take a break and get some pizza or ribs,
I think I'm going to. I'll be back later.
Just put up the screensaver shot, and we'll just keep going.
But the thing of it is that's the magic of a collective, like a band. We're making a song together. Right. I mean, that was my thought too. Was the Wi-Fi is going to be important, but you have to be upfront with the client, in my opinion, and say, I will do my best.
Yeah.
If, everybody knows that they've been doing this for a year. Things freeze, internet goes down, but we can have it recorded with a second computer. That's how I would do it, and be upfront with them. And just say, look, if for some reason the stream goes down, it is still recorded for later. But I would encourage you to, in the beginning, go up there, say hello to grandma, so forth and so on. If the camera goes out during the dancing stuff, well, then, yeah, they could always catch up with that, the next day.
So let me just, you gave me a thought, Howie. I hate to interrupt, but I'll lose the thought. Let me ask you and John and Eric
you're losing a thought?
I believe it or not. Throughout the day, billions and billions of them. It's like a freaking Nova show over here with Carl Sagan. I just had a thought. Is this the new photo booth? Is
That's
this
what I
now?
was. Oh,
The new
you've been
net-
reading my notes.
But
I
truly,
love this.
Is
I love
this
this.
now in the corner of the room? This is our live stream camera. What do you mean? This is going to everyone that couldn't come, some of the relatives, and then we have a monitor that shows thumbnail sized photos of each person. And now do they have a touch screen where they interact and go, oh, grandma, and they touch grandma and grandma goes to full screen and they can have that moment.
Sure.
Is that where we're headed? And if so, this doesn't become an add-on. Now this becomes its own entity.
Yeah.
That was one of my thoughts I had written down here is what do you guys let's let everybody answer this. Do you think that this has the possibility of replacing a photo booth because you can give them the entire raw footage? You can also offer post editing, and then you can also take screenshots from the video. So if people want to mug it up and put silly hats on and go right up to the camera, you've got it. You've got that for them. Thoughts,
I don't
John?
know.
Yeah, well, it goes beyond the restrictions of the room. Now the stream is limitless. Now, like you say, it's for people that can't travel, older that wouldn't travel, or for whatever reason couldn't attend. I think it gives a lot more people access to the event. Initially setting up was thinking of shooting the ceremony, the first dances, and maybe a little of the dancing. But if we have to stream it through the whole thing, we could absolutely do that.
Sure. Eric, go
I
ahead.
don't know.
Tell me something that's on my notes already.
I don't know if it's going to replace a photo booth. Do you have room for both of them at an event? Probably not. I think it's just a different niche in itself. I like the photo booth. I think they're fun. If I were at an event, oh man, I'd be in there the whole time hamming it up. I like the photo booths. I like bringing them. I think people enjoy them. Will this replace it? I don't know. I'm going to be the dissenter here, and I don't think it's going to replace. I think it's something different. And like you're saying, Jay, maybe everybody's on a screen. That sounds really fun to me. Here's my Aunt Lisa. Here's my Uncle Al. Here's my Grandma Liz, and here are all these people on the screen. And a lot of times a wedding is about getting everybody together anyways. They haven't seen each other in a long time. Man, this gets everybody together. They can't be there, but they're still together. I like the idea of putting them up on the screen in the room itself to watch. That's kind of my vision as I'm, doing my little mojo thing here and trying to figure it all out. I think that putting them in the room, I like that idea right there. And, anybody can take a phone. Any of the guests can live stream it. Everybody's got their FaceTime, whatever. But it's only going to last for a few minutes because all of a sudden, bang, you're gone. The Facebook mods get in there or whatever the bots are that kick us all out. So, we've come to a point where we actually have our own Good Guy Productions site where people go to. But like Zoom, they don't boot us off Zoom for music, right? So,
No.
Right.
So, if you want, I've got like a bunch of stuff here that I can show you what I use to make this happen, to make a good, like Jay said, got a good sound quality. That's important, and good video quality.
Yeah.
So,
well, this is limitless, like you said. Right now, I think we're on the cusp of something new. That's a new enhancement. Like you mentioned, it may not replace the photo booth, but it'll certainly be an enhancement. Photo booths are still pictures. You get the relatives together mugging it up, hey, and then that interaction. Hi there out in California. Jay, I'm so sorry you couldn't make it.
Yeah.
It's good to see you,
I think the technology is such, and I don't want to go into big detail, but I did a party in Vegas 2 weeks ago where I DJ'd, and it was a private venue. It was a 50,000 square foot warehouse, and they have a 360 circle of LED walls that run at 3x 4K.
Wow.
And I'm walking around and I'm like the floor has a circle cut into it with a track where the walls that are 25 feet high can all push together and make a full circle. And I said, so I'm kind of lost. Like, what do you guys do? He goes, it's for a company that does big seminars and big events. And he didn't want to go into grave detail, but I got the feeling it was kind of like they'll hold a like worship day in a stadium or a sales day or whatever they're doing. And I said, so these screens that are all joined together, and he goes, we did a Zoom call in February. The Zoom call in February in this room had 250,000 people live on the call, all working together. You paid X amount to be a small square and more to be a big square. And it ended up the one call they did as a seminar. I mean, it yielded like $35 million. Wow. Like, now they're running a hard line from a place called Switch in Vegas, which is as I understand, Switch is a network hub company in the desert that I know when they showed it to me, they had armed guards outside, like M16 guards around the building. I'm like, what the? They're like, this is one of the
main... at our events too.
Well, but no, you know what it was, Eric? Yeah. It's this building in Vegas that controls a lot of the switching for the internet, apparently. I was just there to DJ. I don't freaking know.
All right, I'm going to bring this back to the base level.
Right, but what I'm saying is, knowing that that's existing now around us, that actually goes on, that was what I meant about the thing, Eric. It wasn't about replacing it as much as becoming the new photo booth. Like, I didn't mean replace the old one. I meant this becomes a secondary photo booth where now you can go in and have that live experience. I mean, to me, this becomes that Star Wars moment where you walk in the room and the person is projected in a hologram in the middle.
Right. Just back to the future, right? And now we've made it reality.
Yeah.
I
guess.
Now, to bring it back to the entry level, which I think because it's going to be so new, a lot of people are, I mean, let's see, it was 2014. I did a wedding that they were live streaming all over the world. It was a couple from New York, and one was from Canada, the other one was from France. They met in New York, and so it was all over. And they brought in the videographer, which was like $7,000, and they were trying to do this, and they couldn't get sound. And I happened to walk by. I said, is there any way I can help? They had the Geek Squad came and made an actual house call. And I said, here, why don't you try this? And I gave him an adapter I had in my go bag. And then they went, oh, wow, we didn't think of that. So I was part of one of the very first ones way back. But my thing here is in the beginning where, okay, in entry level, something like this, the Logitech type things, there is one available for $200. Okay. Now you would have to have an assistant, like was mentioned before. I would have an assistant where it could zoom in with the touch of the mouse. So you could zoom in on the sweetheart table, zoom in for first dances, and then zoom back out. But I would like to keep this right in front of the booth, keep everybody, if they want to come up to the booth and talk to it. But the thing of it is for you folks out there, if you get requests for this, as Brian has said many times, sell the service first. In other words, if you sell 10 events, and let's say you're charging $500, just as a, off the cuff number, that'd be $5,000. Okay. You could get into a basic level that would still look good for about $2,000. Would you say, Eric?
Let me think about it. Yes, you could. You could definitely get in there. I guess my thoughts on this. Do we have an assistant? We're still an assistant, right?
I would for that, yes. For that kind of money, yeah.
I don't know if I would go with the camera you're suggesting there. I think I would go to an actual, like a camcorder, prosumer camcorder. If nothing, and go individual microphone and individual video. You're going to have to go through a switcher at that point, but maybe 3,000, you could have a pretty decent looking rig where it's going to look professional versus what you showed me looks like something. I have one of those on my computer, on my other computer, not the one I'm using now. And I know that's got a little adapter to it, but I just think that somebody may say, man, am I going to pay $500 for something that I think I could do?
I agree. It's the iPad logic. Like, do you want to DJ with an iPad that the customer owns? No. You can do lights with an iPad. You can do notes.
Good point. Yeah.
You don't want to ever do a professional job with what is considered to be consumer grade tools. Yes, consumers have laptops, but it's how we use the laptop. It's the $300 program we bought to use the laptop.
Right.
It's the $200 hard drive with the 50,000 worth of music that we bring. That's different. But I agree. If you've got somebody running around with Logitech, I think it's going to be viewed as, this is what I paid for. I could have had my cousin do this.
Well, my idea was that you would have this, but then you would still have that big screen for them to interact with.
Oh, so you're saying, okay. No,
this
that
would
totally
be on top of the big screen. And you would have, like you mentioned, where somebody, in other words, it's just a concept. Like, I believe this is going to be something. I think people are going to expect it.
I want to throw this out real quick. I just looked it up on my computer on 9/19/2010. I did a wedding, and the reason I remember it so well is because they're divorced, but I'm friends with the bride on Facebook, and it was the first and only wedding I've ever done where the groom came up to my table at the event and said, my dad can't make it, and a lot of my family in Canada can't come. They're at my dad's house. So can I put my MacBook on your table, pointed at the dance floor and crowd, so they can watch throughout the night? And I'm like, sure. We made a spot next to where my CDs were, because I was using CDs then. I wasn't even on a laptop. So to me, I was the dumb tech guy. I'm like, what the hell? You can't show this. Oh my God. And I walked in front of my table, and there's his dad like, hi, are you the DJ? And I'm like, this is like voodoo. What is this? Yeah, seriously. Like, this doesn't make sense. But I remember that wedding, we had that thing there the whole night, just showing what was going on, because those special people in Canada couldn't make it down. But after that wedding, I may have said something to a couple DJs, but that was September 19th, 2010. It didn't get in our lexicon of things to do. So I think there is that moment of, even now where we're so hardcore Zoom, let's turn that around for a second as beginners. Do you want to go to clients who have been locked in Zoom meetings for the last year and say, hey, if you hire me, I'll give you Zoom, and all they hear is, no, we're trying to get away from Zoom. So try this thought for a second, guys. What if you just simply show up and stream the whole wedding to a Zoom room on your channel, and then at the end of the night say, hey, as a gift for you guys, here you go. What's this? It's an address. You can download your entire wedding from my POV, point of view, perspective, and send it to whoever you would like. Or tell them ahead of time, hey guys, I've got my webcam on my other laptop. It's showing things from my perspective. Like right now, if I go to Key West, Florida, I can go to the Hog's Breath. They have a webcam showing live what's going on.
Yeah.
Once in a while, I like to go there. I like to go to Boston. I like to go to New York City. Maybe that's what this is. Maybe this is that new, you know what, guys? I'll tell you what. I'll do it live. Here's the address, no guarantees. But if you want it recorded and then I'll send it to you, that's the $250. If you sell 10 of them, you've got the money to buy the laptop with 32 gigs of RAM and a hotspot from Verizon, and now you're in business.
Exactly. The concept. I love it. I love it.
So we've been pitching it for $1,200 around here. But
wow.
We're going to do
now that's a nice upsell.
Whoa. It is, but it's going to be done, correctly.
Well, you've got the switchers, the whole.
We're coming in with a nice Canon camera, $1,500. Our interface is going to be this PreSonus audio box. Okay, it's got a couple of inputs, USB output.
I've seen those.
If you want a DJ as well, here's the next size up. Okay, it's got your digital readouts as well. So now you've got say maybe you're taking this on top of your camera. Now you're picking up the audio. You can walk around the room if you want to. Okay, this guy goes into here, which goes into here, which goes into your computer. At that point, now this is going to be a little overkill for something like this, but this is what we use. So this is our switcher that we use. Okay, it's made by Roland. I know they make scaled down versions. This one's a couple $1,000, probably $2,100 list, but it's got many inputs. So the possibilities all of a sudden go up if you're going to be doing more production stuff. But for those, Howie, you gave the number of 2,000. We're at 530. You're under $4,000. But like I said, I'm charging $1,200 to start, one camera, done right, good audio, good video. Now you're.
But the key word there for you, Eric, is this is a production, so it's a piece.
Correct.
Yeah, right. I think that's the two worlds. I don't think there's a middle. I think there's do it right, 100%, make the investment, or it's almost like the photo booth round when it first started. Hey, you know what? I did a wedding where they had a camera on a tripod with a foot switch wired and a little sign that said, on 3, step. And people walked over and stood in front of the camera, 1, 2, 3, and stepped, and it took a photo. No print, no visual, no digital, like just here you go. So that's the freebie version of what we're talking about. Same as me saying, hey, I'm just going to do a POV from, my perspective, which after a while during like dinner will be boring. Or I have a videographer who's going to come in and shoot it live. And I think that's the difference between, give me a couple $100 for an address and give me $1,200 to have this guy do this up here.
Right.
Well, I like what you shared, Eric, because the economy of scale is still the same. Like, if you're going to charge $1,200 and you've got like $4,000 or $5,000 invested in it, it does not take long to get your return on investment back. So, this is all doable, and I think it's the future. The near future that people are going to. I'm not suggesting it be an upsell, other than like people are going to ask us if we can do that. Is where I'm going with it. So
I agree. I think if John does it, he should guarantee on his flyers, and no one will get shot in the head. I'm just saying, like it's a Boston thing, I've seen it applauded.
Wicked Boston.
Like Wicked Awesome. It's a Wicked Awesome video and no one gets shot in the head.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. How's your mother?
Hey.
Watch it live.
Thank you guys. Thank you all so much for the input. And I think we've really made a nice song here. It's the beginning of an album. And we can continue this certainly after we go off air. And people, leave some comments below, suggestions, ideas, if you have them.
Yeah. Love to see other people's experiences. Yeah, totally.
Let's help each other. Share your experience with us.
Put put the cameras you use. Put the actual. Are you on OBS?
Absolutely.
And if so, what camera have you bought that you've used? Like, did you have a good experience? I found this Epoch HD. I think it was like $4.99 app. And it's a high def on my camera, but now I've lost my camera for the event. So, I need to buy a camera, and I was going to talk to John about it and see what he's using. Eric's using other stuff. But yeah, I think we can learn and move forward and be viewed more professionally because of the situation we've been in.
Absolutely.
You know, and on the flip side of things, the $200, somebody may go, you know what? It's worth $200 for you just to do it, so I don't have to. I don't have to have my sister hold the camera up the whole time.
Right.
Man, then I'm
Maybe
tied
there's
up.
value to that as well.
Well, and if you do 50
always
weddings
have
a
those.
year, that's $10,000.
I'm
So,
hoping to do
Right.
50 weddings.
well, you know what I'm saying though? Look at your long term. Say, I'm going to probably do 30, 40, 50, 60 weddings.
Right.
If you're getting $200 extra, that's $6,000 goes into that laptop you need. You're doing 50 weddings, that 10 grand gets you the camera, the laptop, and a few bucks extra for some scratch to go down to like L Street and hang out and have some cocktails with the boys. I'm just saying. That's what
There
I
you
would
go. Hey, with that, we're going to call it a night. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you guys so much for your input on this.
Thank you very
Thanks
much,
for inviting
Howie.
me,
I
Howie.
appreciate the invite.
Good night, all.
Thank you.